Hello there, welcome to careerbids.com. I'm Richard McMahon, and during this presentation I'm going to talk to you about how to respond to tough interview questions. Now, we've all been to interview before and we've gone through the interview basically with questions that are relatively easy to answer. Questions such as what you like as a person, what you like as an employee, what are your hobbies, what are your interests, what do you understand about the role. But it's actually when we get on to further parts of the interview and some of the questions increase in intensity. For example, one of the questions you might get asked, especially if you're working in a corporate organisation, is are you a risk taker? That's quite a difficult question to respond to, and one that will need some careful consideration. Another tough question would be, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Now, we can all say what our strengths are. That would be quite easy because we could all rattle off we're enthusiastic, I'm organised, I'm flexible, I'm punctual. But it's when you come on to the question, what are your weaknesses? And I've had that in interviews before and generally come out on top with a question. And what I try to do with that one, with a weakness question, is try and turn it into a positive. And I would respond by saying, well, I believe that one of my weaknesses is sometimes I can respond quite negative to people who are late. Basically, I don't like people who aren't punctual. So I've been in meetings before and somebody has turned up late, and that frustrates me and I have to say something to them. And obviously that might not go down too well, but I'm working on that and I'm trying to improve it. And I think what that kind of response does, it shows that you're a caring person in relation to the organisation and people being on time. Yes, that kind of person who is late all the time needs to be addressed because it's a performance issue. But what I'm trying to do in that response is actually turn it around. Another good response to that kind of question is to say that you are a bit of a perfectionist and that you're always working, you're always looking at ways to improve, and that can be quite annoying for some peers and also your relatives or your partner outside of work. And again, if I was employing someone, I would much rather that they were more of a workaholic, even though it can have a negative effect sometimes on the team, but I'd rather they were up here than down here in terms of their level of work commitment. So what I try to do with that kind of question is spin it on its head and make it sound like a positive attribute. But what you should do with any weakness is basically say that you're looking for ways to improve on your weakness, okay, and you're taking positive steps to improve it. So that's a couple of questions. Are you a risk taker? And I'm going to come up with some sample responses to that in a second. The other tough interview question is, what are you like at taking criticism from senior managers, and also how would you resolve a dispute with a work colleague? Now, there are many different types of tough interview questions, and I'm just going to go through a couple of sample responses for these. Okay, so are you a risk taker? Well, obviously this very much depends on the kind of organisation that you're applying to join. Does it require a level of risk? And that's what I would do before you go to the interview, is think to yourself, does the organisation I'm applying for need me to be a risk taker? Okay, also, does the role that I'm applying for require me to be a risk taker? And that will very much determine your response. So let's first of all take a look at a sample response for a company that does require a level of risk taking. And here is my response. Basically, if the situation requires, then I am not averse to taking risks. However, the risks that I do take are always carefully thought through and focused on achieving the goal. I would always look wherever possible to consult my manager before taking the risk. In a previous role, I was required to take risks on a weekly basis. However, in regards to health and safety matters, I would never take any risks, and I would certainly never breach confidentiality. So that kind of response is basically saying, yes, you are okay with taking risks, but they're also carefully thought out, okay? And in this response, I was saying that I would inform my line manager. In your role that you're applying for, you might not be required to do that, but I wanted to get it in there. And then it gives the interviewer the opportunity to explore and ask probing questions in relation to that. So let's look at a sample response for a company that does not require a level of risk taking. And my response would be, no, I don't take any risks, especially when work is involved. I always follow company rules and procedures, and if I'm ever unsure of something, I will always seek clarification first from a line manager or a senior member of the team. I've seen people take risks at work before and they usually end up going wrong. In terms of health and safety, I would never take any risks. I would hate to be part of a situation at work where a member of the team became injured because because somebody was taking risks or shortcuts. If I witnessed somebody doing something that they shouldn't be doing, then I would have to say something and inform my supervisory manager. So that's both two different kinds of responses to that question, but you'll notice that I've been cautious in respect of both of them, and I've also made mention to the important subject of health and safety, that I wouldn't take any risks in relation to that. Okay, the second question is, what are you like at taking criticism from senior managers? Because obviously we have to, at some point, we all have to take criticism from our line managers, and that can be difficult for some people. Some people do not like it, but you have to be able to take it. Okay, here's my response to that question. Whilst working for my current employer, a situation arose where I was criticised for a mistake. At the time of the criticism, I felt disappointed in my own performance, but I knew it was important to learn from my mistake and improve for next time. I understand that not everybody is perfect, and when we make mistakes, it's the ability to move on and improve for next time which is important. I spoke with my line manager after the mistake was made. I apologised and made certain I improved my performance in that particular area. So that's quite a good response to it. It shows that you don't like taking criticism, because none of us do. But I believe that shows that you're passionate about it. But you have to be mature and you have to be adult about the situation. I always like to say in responses to that kind of question that I always look to reflect and analyse on my performance. Okay, they are good words to use, reflect and analyse, and that allows you to improve for next time. Okay, finally, how would you resolve a dispute with a work colleague? I've worked in situations before and organisations, and I'm sure you are the same, where a couple of employees don't get on with each other and they don't do anything about it, and then the bad feeling grows and grows and grows before it becomes a problem. The best way to deal with it is to try and sort it out straight away, and try and resolve it in an amicable manner. I believe that individuals should sort out their own problems first of all without informing the line manager, unless there's obviously been a breach of employment rules or something like that, or someone's being bullied or harassed. That is not acceptable. But I do believe that individuals should try and sort out their differences first of all. If that fails, then they should seek mediation. Okay, but the worst thing to do is to ignore it and avoid that the problem is there. But we've all been in that situation where we're in an office and we know that some people don't get on with each other, and it's only bad for the team. So let's have a look at this kind of response. The first thing I would do is to try and arrange a meeting with the person I didn't get on with, somewhere out of the way of any distractions, and also in private. I would ask them if we could both search for ways to resolve our differences with a view to possibly becoming friends, or at very least amicable work colleagues. It is only natural that we cannot get along with everybody at work. However, whilst at work, we should put our differences aside and work towards the company objectives, aims and missions. I would do all that was in my power to resolve any conflict, and I would never allow it to deter from my professionalism. So that is a good response, because it's showing that the person is taking action. They're actually taking the bull by the horns and they're running with it, and they're trying to resolve the situation. Because as I said at the beginning, there's nothing worse than a couple of people not getting on in an office. It can be very, very distracting to other people. So what you should do is try and resolve it. If you can't resolve it, then you need to seek mediation and get other people involved. Okay, so that's just a couple of examples of tough interview questions. You can get more of these and sample responses at the website www.careervids.com. I'm Richard McMunn, and thank you very much for watching.